We're good. We're golden. What's up? Hello. Welcome. Willkommen. Bienvenidos. Hi. I'm Jetthro. Got Ty here.
What's going on? Good
Hello.
evening. Good evening.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. This is kind of a new thing for me and for us, I guess. Feel some nerves. I feel myself like, ooh, what's gonna happen? We always, I think I was saying this in one of the streams I've done. You just fear of not knowing what's gonna happen is common. It's common. Like, people get nervous when they don't know what to do or what we're gonna do, and so it's just this feeling I have is
It's
normal.
common. I don't think it's common
natural.
to acknowledge the feeling, let alone express it to other people.
There is I've been noticing that if I label things, if I label how I'm feeling, or if I label like what I think is going on, it helps me really process things and get through like harder emotions or just feelings that I just can't put into words. But if I like just try to label it in any kind of way, it really helps. So anyway,
Okay.
we're diving in. Night dives here. Exploring the mind. Exploring kind of my mind, our minds, the mind in general. So as a quick backstory, I have been doing these like nightly live streams for I don't know. I feel like a month now. Yeah, at least a month. Probably up to 6 weeks now at this point. But what I've been doing is I've been doing kind of a daily journal or a nightly journal entry is what it was kind of morphing into for about 10 minutes, and then I would study Spanish for 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever X amount of time. And it just occurred to me like it's going to be better to separate those and just kind of expand on the intro part, the beginning part, and just explore my mind really and just kind of see what's going on up there, because it started to feel good to like talk about what's going on in my mind, and then I would have to switch and start studying Spanish, and it just was like, why am I doing that? So now we're here. I've done a couple of these streams so far. I think this is the third one. And so, we're just going to kind of dive in. I am glad that you're here. I'm grateful you're here. It's exciting. It's a little nervous, but we're doing it. I've been thinking to just like jump in. I've been thinking about today was like really kind of chill for me for the most part mentally. Like I didn't have a lot of like like heavier thoughts really kind of crossed my mind. It was just kind of floating throughout the day. I was kind of, I did my run earlier today, and I didn't have a lot of like pressing things bubble up or pop up, or not like any intense thoughts or feelings. And I got home and clocked into work, and I work from home, so I just kind of went through the motions, and made dinner when it was time, and essentially I just like went through the day, and I was stretching, and it occurred to me like how easy it is to just go on autopilot, and how easy the mind will just, at least mine, will just kind of take over. And like I look back at my day today, and I'm like, what even happened? like it feels like it was a dream
Mm.
that I lived in. I know I experienced it, but it feels like it was a dream, and it's the subconscious of the mind is just so powerful. It's so powerful. I'm talking a lot. Do you want to jump in? You want?
No,
You have
yeah,
any feelings? You have any
I
thoughts?
love it.
Because I
Well,
have more.
first
things
off,
to say
I
about
want to say that just straight up, therapy sessions is what kind of came to mind
Yeah.
during your intro. Your daily diary therapy sessions. It made me think of like music and how some artists really use that platform
Ah.
for getting emotions out. NF comes to mind, one of my favorite rap artists. He, for the most part, clean vocals and just super creative. But he has a song called Therapy Sessions, and he talks about it. And
Interesting.
so that comes to mind. But
Okay.
going on autopilot, I can reflect back on times when I wasn't doing much, when I didn't have much going for myself. And I can think about being on autopilot in those moments. I think now with this revitalized energy, I don't catch myself there very often, maybe in little segments. And maybe in those segments, it's almost more of a laser focus. And you go into that state of flow, but still pretty productive. So leisure is different. Leisure feels very different. I feel like I've been in a more creative place lately. So leisure, I tend to just want to be doing something. And again, that revitalized energy motivation has been there, and that's been a big driving force. So the autopilot, to think about autopilot, I was thinking more back pre getting back into running and establishing those habits that kind of got me where I wanted to be at one point in life.
Yeah. So leisure for you and autopilot. Like, expand on that a little bit.
Leisure right now has been the NBA playoffs, to be honest. And
I love it.
And I'm on a foam roller. I'm on a foam roller. Usually I just have it on my phone, so it's down on the floor with me. Sometimes if I'm in the living room, it's on the TV. And I'm just on a foam roller. I got my stick with me, maybe some Voodoo Plus, but just going through recovery. And
so even your leisure is like directed towards something.
I need to get that stuff in
a way,
and
see?
And I think it's a way to justify too. Honestly, it's been a way to justify like just binging some playoffs here and there.
Yeah,
especially in that kind of unwind time right before bed. Some of those games go late. Sometimes I don't finish them, but
wild. Yeah, so like the thought for me, so I had started reading this book about like Sherlock Holmes and how like this lady, this woman, she like dissects like the whole Sherlock brain in a way, and he's very observant, and it's very like logical based. It's very like, like he'll notice one thing and this thing and that thing and put it all together, and he can solve mysteries, right? But then there's Watson too, who is very much like kind of like a standard person for the most part. He's just like he's a war veteran. He just kind of is kind of floating throughout his days for the most part, right? The way she dissects it is there, if you look at the two brains of the two persons and you have them in like a metaphor of a brain, Sherlock Holmes's brain is very active. It's like the conscious part of the brain, and he's always in that part of his brain, and that's the active part of the brain. But Watson is very like autopilot. It's very subconscious, very just like letting like life happen to him, essentially.
Okay.
Right? And I was kind of thinking about that, and like I was realizing that like I like live a lot in the Watson mind, right? and I live a lot in autopilot for you is like leisure, like you're seemingly. I mean, I don't know. Like we'll have to keep kind of diving into like what it is. I'm trying to figure it out, but like for me, like autopilot is most of my day. Even like still, like it. Like even when I'm like trying to focus on something, you mentioned like laser focus. Like even when I'm trying to like laser focus, or even focus on something, I don't feel like I'm using my active brain. I don't feel like I'm using my my Holmes brain. It still is like very like monkey mind. Like a Buddhist monk would say, like you know, your mind is like too wandery and too all over the place, right?
Interesting.
So
Go to cooking. Let's talk about cooking. You're in the kitchen.
Okay.
Are you thinking about like everything? Maybe it's a multiple dish kind of entree thing, and everything needs to be finished at the same time. And you're thinking about what needs to be started first. And do you feel like in those moments it's like you're kind of dialing in, keeping track of where you're at and everything, or is it?
Yeah, keep
I'm
going.
trying to think of like kind of like one of those, because I can think of some times when I want to kill this recipe, right? Or it's a fun recipe, or it's maybe a more complicated recipe, and I do feel more active and engaged. Then I can think of some just like super easy meals, and I'm probably listening to a podcast or listening to something in the background, and my mind's kind of over here, and I'm just kind of like throwing this together. So I don't know why that came to mind, but I could think of those as being two different things. Like there are times where I'm very active and I'm engaged in what I'm doing in the world of cooking. This is kind of an easy one. And I can think of times at work, maybe when I go into that, maybe I'm just kind of at the front door in a filling in for a position for one of our staff, and I'm just kind of greeting patients, grabbing wheelchairs for them, just really not thinking about much. Well, that's where I counter, because a lot of times my mind is going places and doing things.
See,
in those moments.
So like you're doing something, but you're somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even that cooking example, if I'm going through just
you said you were listening to you listened to a podcast.
Something else.
Yeah.
Exactly. My mind's somewhere else.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. And like I'm trying to like. We've in the past kind of talked about lucid dreaming. We've kind of talked about like memory, like palaces and shit like that, right? You know, like trying to just remember things better and like organize like memories and stuff better. And like I feel like I'm really struggling to even just get into like storing memories or storing things in general and being in that like active, like I can do it, like I'm with you, like I can I cooked something today. It was like I had to cook the potatoes first, and then I had to cook the eggs, and then I had to throw in the beans, and you know, and then I had to like make them in different stages. I can do that, but like it feels like a struggle to just like be there fully. It feels like a struggle to like remember like when it's done, like remember that what I did and how I did it, right? And so I'm trying to even just break the bridge of getting out of my autopilot, out of my subconscious brain, and get into my Holmes brain, get into my active brain. But eventually I would like to see myself at a level near Holmes where I can be at that like active brain most of the time, if not all of the time, right? And that's what I'm like. I feel like I've always struggled with that too, like you know, like you know, because we've been kind of talking, but like for people who may see this, you know, down the line, like I have always quit with things that are difficult. When I was trying to learn a memory palace, that shit's hard. Like that is hard. And I would remember like I would do a training with that guy, the memory guy, and I would be exhausted, like just mentally exhausted. It was only like 45 minutes, but I would be done. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a mental workout. So
I was going to mention
yeah.
energy levels.
Go
I was going to mention that. Like, do you feel like you don't stay there off or long or often because it's draining? Like, do you connect
Maybe.
it to energy levels?
Maybe.
And like maybe in the past where your energy
Maybe.
levels you haven't felt like they were where they should be.
I do. So yeah, in the past for sure. Like I thought. So before I started running, I thought I was like, man, I need like testosterone or something. I think I told you at one point. I like when I was in Utah, it's like I got to go to the doctor and get my blood levels because I feel like my testosterone levels are low because I am just tired all the time. I'm exhausted all the time. But now my energy levels are definitely up.
Nice.
Definitely. I have, like, I'm going throughout the day and I'm not, I mean, I'm tired, yeah, but, like, I'm, like, shutting most of it down or I'm just, like, not feeling a lot of it. But yeah. Mentally, though, it's like it's a different, it's mental exercises.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. It's
And
like literally like
it requires extra energy, more
it's
energy.
Literally exercising your brain. When people say like your brain is a muscle, they mean it.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Dude, can I tell you something? When you're saying the memory palaces, something that comes to mind, and it corresponds with running. That I think I'm curious. So when I was trying to learn, and don't feel like I got like super successful, I got to the point I could do it, but not like on the spot, really quick, awesome party trick. But the trick was you took a deck of cards, 52 cards, and you assigned every card like a person and an action, and then you would go on a run. And so I always did a running route, and so like there were routes I did all the time and right now that I do all the time. So if I were to ever do this, I would pick one of these routes that I just do all the time, and I would pick 26 spots along the way,
and you could put
and at every location something happens, right? Like someone does something, one card, so you could get them in order. And just that task, I wish I would have stuck with it. I don't know why I didn't. I felt like once I got it, and maybe it was anticlimactic. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Because I think
interesting.
And so maybe I should have stuck to it so it was a better party trick and it was quicker. I remember once I finally got to the point I could do it and showed some of my childhood friends growing up. But it took me forever, right? It took me forever. Like we had 2 decks of cards. They put one in order. I looked through it. I think you had like 2 minutes to look through it, give it back, and then take another deck and put it in the same order. But anyways,
and you could do it. Yeah. Anticlimactic. Okay. It wasn't. So for me, I hear that, and I would think that if I was doing it, I would be like, okay, I got what I needed out of that, and that's what I would tell myself. I got what I needed out of that. It's whatever. It's fine. I don't need to do that anymore. But really, you peak.
Got hard.
And then it got hard.
Yeah.
And like your brain found a reason. It's like, fuck, I don't want to do this anymore. And you gave up.
I think if I really think about it too, looking back at that time, I remember the amount of energy I was putting towards that. Like I remember I was also in like the last 2 years of high school when I was doing that college program, and I was like, I should really be studying. Like, why am I doing this? But
this pointless. It's a memory. It's a mind. It's a mind builder. I feel like the language thing is helping me kind of work through some of that. But like really, if I wanted to like really explore and exercise, if I really wanted to exercise my mind, it'd have to be through things like that again, because that's like the height of like mind workouts, like like mind lifting or whatever. But
and the thing that that helps, and an area that I've struggled is when it can be spoon fed. So I think back growing up, there were these games called the brain games, and right, like you'd have like a 4-digit number flash on the screen, and it would go away, and you have to remember it. And then you get up to 5 digits and 6 digits and 7-digit numbers, right? And you try to get better and better. But it was so structured. It was so spoon-fed. You take something like trying to learn how to put the deck of cards back in order. or something I'm struggling with right now. Like I've always been geared towards musician, but like just sitting down with a book and reading the sheet music and going through it where it's not being spoon fed in some form of game or some form of structure, Duolingo. Like,
Interesting. Interesting. So
I think that's a huge area that I need to work on.
So if something is like laid out for you, it's much
then
easier.
it's just execute at that point. It's just
true.
execute.
That's true.
And I think like you're not having to figure out and question what should I be working on, what should I be studying.
Yeah.
You take that out and it's just like put my head down and work.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And so same as running, and like that's why I'm a huge believer in you have a training plan. If you can stick with it as much as possible, like sure you're gonna make some adjustments here and there for days you're more sore than you thought you would be at that point, and you're making these adjustments, but for the most part, like just stick to the plan. Don't think about it. Growing up, I was rewriting workout plans and training plans all the time, and my energy should have been on like recovery, stretch, do those kind of things. But I'm sitting here in front of a computer with like a notepad, rewriting workouts, and
trying
it's like,
to do
no,
it yourself.
You wrote it, just execute it.
Interesting. Man, I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite, dude. I'm
you
like
get all these ideas.
I don't want to have something structured. I want to like have the freedom to like be like most of my runs now. You know, I'm in a pre-training before I hit a 20-week training block. But most of my runs now, I just like I wake up and I'm like, okay, what do I need? What am I feeling today, and what do I like actually need to do? And then I like kind of like find a middle ground.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm like I don't have a structure and I like it. But I will say that like at least the running itself, it's not like it is structured in the way that it's part of my like day now.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
The
like
habit aspect.
Yeah. It's like and it like it makes it so that I have to like adjust my whole day based on like when I'm gonna do it, because at this point it's like I'm gonna do it, right?
So wait until you get into your training program and you know you have easy days versus days you need to do hard, and then you'll find out if you like to do those hard days fasted in the mornings, or if you're gonna have to like plan your day like, no, I need to wake up early so I can eat, or I'm just gonna do the workout later, like and time it after a lunch or after a dinner.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And that's sometimes where like I felt like if I did have to make any adjustments to the training plan, maybe it was like I had something going on and I couldn't do it after work, and I knew I did not want to do it fasted, so I had to find another day to do that workout or something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll feel that out too. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll feel that out. I'm excited to like see where I'm going personally with my journey, but
yeah,
dude, like
for sure.
Yeah, like yours too, though. Like I as a side note to this, I am just so grateful to both of us that we're actually like documenting all of this for us.
Finally.
I'm just like, I regret missing the first 2 months of not documenting it. I was thinking about that while I was stretching. It's like, man, I wish I got that first 2 months, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm excited to see like where we're going in the future. Let's if anyone, let's take a break or something. Like if anyone has anything to say, if anyone's even here, any comments or anything. I don't see anything, but like
Saturday evening, my friend.
I know.
People have things to do.
I haven't been watching any of the basketball. Saying that's a whole other can of worms that we can go down another time. But I've been watching the just like the scores, just like kind of seeing the updates and stuff, and maybe a highlight or two here. But seems like it's been fun.
It's been fun.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've enjoyed it. enjoy myself. It's not
Uh,
football, but
It's not football. Come on, dude. I love both sports very much, but basketball is better.
Playoffs. Period. I mean, you get a playoff mentality, and that's also
Kind of
creating a
watching them.
stage for amazing things to happen, amazing
Yeah.
moments.
Yeah. So diving back in. So we can kind of keep exploring that kind of aspect. Do you have anything like do you have anything you want to talk about at all?
Well,
Like the floor can kind of be yours, or we can
talk about Autopilot in the
Okay.
realm of running now.
Okay. Okay. What do you
'Cause
think? What's
There
on
are
your mind?
times. Have you experienced in the same run highs and lows? Because I feel like there are runs that you never get the high and it's tough, and you tell yourself, okay, don't decide what kind of day you're having until mile 2, mile 3, mile 4. I'll tell myself all that all the time, and sometimes mile 4, mile 5 comes, it's like, dang, I'm just not getting as loose as I wanted to. And you never got it. You never felt it. You never started floating, right? And then you have days that are just like incredible and they're highs. But when you have long runs and they're long enough, a lot of times you'll have both.
So you're describing the high, I think.
And that's when my mind goes on autopilot. And like time blows my mind. Like time, I say it all the time to people.
Yeah.
When people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's already the middle of May, things like that. My favorite response is say, yeah, time's an illusion. Because like time is such an illusion, especially in those moments. And that's why I think when I was talking earlier, I was talking about sometimes being very engaged and just getting that state of flow. I think the runner's high is getting to the state of flow.
Interesting. Yeah. I'll jump in. You text me once on my first long run, and you asked me like, how'd it feel? Do you feel like you had any runner's highs? And I was like, I don't know.
Okay.
But I do remember there was a stretch where, so I have to climb up this hill. So like 2 miles in, like the first 2 miles super easy, but then there's a huge climb, and after that climb it flattens, and from the top of that climb and the flat part out, it was like I was running, but I wasn't running. Like it was like I was moving, but it was like I felt my shoulders like drop, and I felt my whole body relax while I was running, and it was like slow. And I was like, man, runner's high. That's got to be this. But it was real quick. It was like 5 seconds or something.
Okay, nice.
But I was like, I think that's what that was. So you were you were saying you were asking about highs, but like the lows, like
yeah. Sometimes it's just like a discomfort. So a stitch, they'll call them a stitch when you get that side kind of cramping feeling.
Oh yeah.
Some people like may try to even physically like pinch it or grab the stitch and try to work it out. A lot of times when I've talked about just being aware and with your body during the run, I'll try to sometimes I'll even look at my watch and see how, again, time's an illusion. So sometimes if I feel that, I'll look at my watch and check and remind myself where I'm at in my run and what's a time frame, time stamp. And then as it's going away, once I've realized it's gone, I'm definitely going to be checking and kind of getting a real grounded approach and knowledge of what just happened.
In
So
your
that
body?
come race day, exactly. In my body, what just happened,
around the time frame it did.
Yeah, even time frames. Because again, now let's talk about being in the low. So you're having that stitch and you're fighting through it. Like you're not in a state of flow where it's just sliding and gliding and stuff, right? You're thinking about maintain form, don't compromise and start doing something different because of it. Fight through it, maintain that core stabilization, right? Don't start bending over you're getting into that cramp.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's a very engaging moment, and it sucks. It hurts. Maybe you're going to drop your pace a little bit so that your running mechanics can stay
the same.
And you can stay upright and engage your core.
Yeah.
but that moment can seem like a long time. And so to have like to know that you felt this before, it lasted 2.5, 3 minutes. And as you're fighting through, and it's like, dude, it feels like it's been forever. And you look down, it's like, dude, it's only been a minute. Like, fight through another round of that, and you're smooth sailing. And sure enough, dude, give it another 20, 30 minutes if the run's long enough, you'll probably hit a high, and you'll be blown away. Like, how was I in that like state? Like just that long, like just a few
20
minutes ago. This is the same run. This is the same run we're on.
That's wild.
It's
Yeah,
wild.
that's
It's wild.
It's probably, it probably has to do a lot with the mind and body connection that you like make in that. Like when you are so like present in your body, like in something uncomfortable, like when you're so present in your body, it really puts you in that moment, in that exact moment, and it connects, like it gets rid of that monkey mind. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it stops with the mind chattering and going all over the place, and you're here and you're present. So that, like, I'm assuming that when you're running more and more and more, and you really connect everything after that, that's probably why you have the highs come after.
Dude, and when you're in the highs too, one of your favorite things is I feel like you could just choose something to focus on, and you're just so aware of it. And so my favorite things are both like breathing and then my foot strike. How my foot is like striking the ground.
Yeah.
Love that. When I'm just like flying and gliding and just like floating is how you talk about it. Man, and your foot strike is just like perfect. And you know that like the connection is there, and then the launch, and you're driving out of your heels. Maybe you have a little bit of an uphill,
and you can just feel it.
And you just like, yeah, and like there's no effort, but you know exactly what's happening.
Oh man. Oh man, I've got chills, dude. My body's tingling. That's amazing, dude. That's amazing. The insights on this, dude. I feel like you're like downloading like years of running into my brain already.
I love it. Dude, man. Yeah, you have a great start. You're gonna kill it.
Yeah. I wanted to. So you said your foot strike, but you also said your breathing. So I wanted to say something real quick about that. I genuinely feel like. Okay. Let me see if I can explain this in a quick way that makes sense. So I've been listening to a lot of David Goggins, of course, and he the way he talks about it, and the way he talks about how his whole journey and kind of thing has been, is to me, the way that I hear it, he talks about suffering a lot, and like mentally, like, you know, like putting your mind through suffering more than like your body almost, or something, you know, I don't know, just putting your mind through suffer mode, right? And the way that he talks about it, he makes me think that he's like actually a Buddhist, really, because but he's on the end of like suffering that is physical for the most part. So let me try to keep going here. So Buddhists say that all of life is suffering, right? That's like one of the Four Noble Truths in their whole the core of like Buddhism is like all life is suffering, right? And I realized that when Buddhists meditate for like 10, 12 out the whole day for hours and hours and hours, what they're doing is they're trying to calm their monkey mind, but it's suffering in the sense of like, man, why the fuck am I doing this? Why am I sitting here? Why am I 6 hours into this? Why my legs hurt? I need to get up and go to the bathroom. I need to get some water, and then they're just like, shut up. I'm okay. I'm just gonna sit here, and I'm gonna be zen, right? And the way that they do that is the easiest way to calm the mind down and be okay with it is through breathing, right? which do you see where I'm like kind of circling back to?
Fascinating.
Right? So like they just stay focused on the breath, right? And it helps them through the hard times, and it helps them achieve a meditation high or a runner's high type thing. I think they're the same thing. I think what you're describing and what like Buddhists do in meditation is the same kind of thing, but just in different aspects. Like Buddhists will just sit down and meditate, whereas we're running.
Yeah.
Right. Did I do it?
Yeah.
Did I do it?
And I really put breathing with heart rate too. Like that's another like factor with meditation, right? I even think about going to like the doctor's office. I always felt like it was a game to like absolutely be the contrary to the white coat syndrome. And so to sit there and like,
and
like
panic.
in this moment, I'm just like, boom, I'm gonna calm as much as I can. My heart rate, my blood pressure, I want some like good scores.
And control
right?
it. And
yeah,
control
it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so there are times when it hurts, when you're going to some dark places, and if I just need to like bring myself down, it's like, no, stay composed. Like this is fine. Like your body can handle this. Two inhales through the nose and then a long exhale has always been my go-to.
Interesting.
So even in the doctor's office, like that's what I'm gonna do.
Interesting. So like two quick ones like that.
Yeah. No, I think the video I saw, like when I first decided I was gonna try that, and I thought there was something to it. I think he demonstrated with 2 quick ones, and I think that's what I've always seen. But I don't feel like that's what I do. I feel like it's almost like one longer one, and then I'm gonna like when I think I'm done, I'm gonna go a little bit more.
Interesting.
So it's like
I know that feeling.
Yeah. So like the first one's kind of longer, and then like you feel like you're gonna get that full tail end.
Yeah.
And you go a little bit farther.
Have you done like any of the Wim Hof like breathing techniques and stuff?
I've looked into it, and I'm right now I'm getting back into. I'm gonna try the cold showers again, but
nice.
So I've looked into it, but I couldn't like recite anything.
Dude, just
accurate.
like there's like just like a breathing technique that is similar to kind of what you're saying, but like when I would do them, literally what you said, like I would fill my lungs to what I thought was capacity, and then I'd take another breath, and it would just like be earth shattering.
Yeah. And I feel like the exhale, you could go forever.
Well, okay, here's mine though. Here's mine. I will like exhale, and my lungs will like be exhaling. But about a third of the way in the exhale, I will need to like stop and like inhale just a tiny bit.
Okay.
And then about another third of the way through, it's the same thing. But like that whole process, like in the throes of a deep Wim Hof, like that whole process can be like 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. Have you ever tried sleeping with your mouth taped shut?
Taped shut? No.
Yeah. Oh,
no.
Okay. Because that feeling of needing that little inhale to finish the exhale, that kind of reminds. I was trying to do. I was like going to really force myself to try to become a better nose breather.
Interesting.
And that's something that people like. It's a challenge kind of thing.
Interesting.
Right?
Interesting.
Can you do it? It's so
Okay.
hard, bro. Yeah.
I fucking bet, dude.
Yeah.
bet.
But I'm gonna go back to running one more time.
Okay.
And breathing.
Uh-huh.
And again, the reason I often connect it to heart rate, and I've really been thinking about heart rate through this training cycle.
Uh-huh.
More than I've ever in any training. And when I'm like in that state of flow, so when I go back to an 18-mile run I did recently down Big Cottonwood, and I was stringing together some sub 6 minute miles, just flying. And sure, there was like a lot of descent, and we're just flying. And in that moment, like it went by so fast, and my breathing, I felt like I could have held the best conversation in that moment.
Wait, stop.
It was
Which
so
moment?
easy.
Which moment?
When I'm ripping those sub 6s, and I'm in a state of flow, and like it was so easy.
Interesting.
And I felt like almost like my upper body and lower body became like separate, and my lower body, like my legs are just turning.
Interesting.
And like my foot strike, if I wanted to focus on that, which again I always do, is just spot on, and it's just turning. And
Wow.
my hamstrings, my quads, everyth's equally engaged. But then if I wanted to think about my upper body, and like you talked about, you felt your shoulders relaxed, like everything is so relaxed. And I feel like I could just like, breathing wise, is just nothing right now. Like I'm just flying.
Interesting.
And the breathing, and I know my heart rate, like nothing. Cardio wise, I just felt like that entire run, I was so in tune. My legs were just working. But my upper body, my breathing specifically, it was so
it was just happening.
Yeah, just happening.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah? Okay.
Incredible.
Wow.
It was incredible.
I love it, dude. I love it. I love hearing that. Yeah, dude. Yeah, just fascinating.
I'm a mouth breather, though. I want to do better.
You're a mouth breather?
I'm a mouth breather, yeah. Man, I tend to deal with, like, especially Utah winters, I deal with, like, chapped lips. When I sleep, I'm a mouth breather. And then when I run, yeah, I'm typically a mouth breather until those moments that maybe I want to, like, think about it. But if I subconsciously don't think about my breathing, I go back to being a mouth breather.
I want, like... Yeah, I'm the same, I think. I know, like, I've gone in and out of meditation for like 15 years at this point, but I bring that up because a lot of it is like breathing through your nose.
Definitely,
right?
Definitely.
But I actually haven't noticed. I probably subconsciously, like, just what I'm doing is breathing in my nose and then out my mouth. Okay. For the most part, that's probably what I'm doing. But I'm gonna have to notice when I run tomorrow.
Yeah. And notice when it's an easy pace, and then when you get working.
I bet you when I get working, it's not like all of that goes out the window. And I'm just like, help.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So. Wild. Well, cool, man, dude. This was fascinating and awesome. What is the time? The time is an illusion, so I don't even know.
Time's an illusion.
I think we're at about almost 45 minutes in this.
Nice. Nice. Good little rant.
Yeah.
We call it?
Yeah, that felt really good. Just talking, like I was, like I've said, and kind of like I've been saying, it, and you said too, it's like therapy. It just like getting some of these thoughts out of the like garbage part of my mind and our minds, and getting it out into the void is just freeing almost, because a lot of this shit just like lives in my brain, and I like have conversations with myself about a lot of that stuff, and it just like reverberates in my mind and just takes up space in there. And so like doing these things feels good. Go ahead.
Well, no, I love that you just identify some of these things. And so, dude, I know throughout this next week, the number of times I'm going to think to myself, like, am I in my active brain, my active conscious brain right now? Like the number of times it's going to happen just because of this conversation. Yeah. The awareness of it now.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's the takeaway for me.
Sweet. But cool. Yeah. Thanks for being here. Thanks for chatting. Yeah, just gonna end this. Have a good night. Anyone who's watching in the future or now at any time, since time is an illusion, we don't know. Sorry, man. Okay. Well, I will see you later. Thanks, brother.